The course we're doing this weekend is the basic rider course, and it's just that. It's the absolute basics. It's targeted at the person who has never as much as sat on a motorcycle before, but has always wanted to. So we go through and show them how to turn the key on, how to turn the fuel valve on, and then by the end of the weekend we get them up to the point where they're negotiating around the range, starting and stopping and cornering, doing all the basic skills that they'll need to practice once they leave here to become a proficient motorcyclist. This is a standard training range. It's at Dreyer Motorsports. This 160 by 260 blacktop area is where we do 14 exercises with folks to try and introduce them to the motorcycle, and then, like I said earlier, by the end of the weekend they're proficiently riding the motorcycle around here, starting, stopping, turning, cornering, emergency stopping, and they have a higher comfort level. And like I say, the biggest thing is they walk away with some skills that they need to practice to be safe. My hope for the 12 participants in this course is that they get an education and they get some skills that they need to practice to make themselves a safe motorcyclist. A lot of folks, when they come in the door, say, "Oh, I'm just here to get my endorsement." By the end of the weekend, I hope they realize that the endorsement's the least important thing that they've gained over the weekend, that they've gained a lot of knowledge and they have some skills that will help them be safe.
Yeah, I have never ever ridden a motorcycle in my life. I do have some experience riding snowmobiles growing up, but that's not quite the same thing, so we'll see how tomorrow goes for our first day on the course.
So my experience level on a motorcycle is basically none. As a kid, I rode passenger on one, but really I'm basically brand new. So this will be a good first step in my journey to riding a motorcycle. So I decided to take this course because I wanted to gain more knowledge first before trying to even attempt to, do a motorcycle, like ride on a motorcycle by myself prior to any other knowledge. Knowledge is power.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with Brianna. I think having all of the smarts up front ensures you're going into this, with success. Yeah, and I know motorcycles are fun and they're meant to be a good time, but yeah, there's a lot of safety factors involved, and I certainly want to make sure I'm a safe rider on the road.
So what I'm most nervous about is I would have to say the motorcycle's definitely gonna weigh more than me. So if it's going down, I'm going with it. And then I'm a little more unfamiliar with clutch shifting, so that I'm a little nervous about that.
I would say the thing I'm most nervous about is probably having to maneuver tight turns. It's not like you're in a vehicle with 4 panels that will protect you if you lay it down. I'm sure everyone has that moment where they're seeing it happen before it happens. I just hope that does not happen tomorrow.
On the first day, we call that level 1 range exercises, and it starts with just introducing to the motorcycle and just where the controls are and how to operate them, and which ones you use your feet for, which ones you use your hands for, and that sort of thing. And then it's how to start the motorcycle, introduce them to a friction zone. A lot of folks aren't familiar with manual transmissions, so we have to introduce them to using a manual clutch. And we teach them how to shift gears, introduce them to both brakes, the front and rear brake, and then how to apply both of those in different situations. Just how to start out, stop, basic turning. And then the second day is the more advanced skills, if you will, where we start teaching them the cornering exercises, advanced stopping techniques, how to maneuver at slow speeds in a tight, like a U-turn box or something. Second day is really, more of the more challenging skills that they'll really use once they get out here on the road.
tired. It takes a lot of energy, mostly mental, but there is a lot of physical work the first day. Some of the exercises require a little bit of physical activity, but the rest of it, once you start getting moving, it kind of wakes you up, and then by the end of the day, you're worn out again.
Absolute terror, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, before I got on the bike, I was terrified, thinking, how am I going to do this? I've never been on a motorcycle before, and I know they weigh so much more than like a regular bicycle or anything like that. But I was super impressed by how they took you through familiarizing yourself with your bike first and foremost. You know, identifying, okay, this is where your front brake is, this is where your back brake is, this is where the clutch is, this is where the shifter is, on off switch, all of that. And they were helpful to note differences in everybody's bikes. Some people had bikes with a fuel shut-off valve that you had to turn on first. Some of us had a choke. Yeah, they were super patient. They took their time, you know, making sure everyone felt comfortable and familiarizing themselves with the bike. So that was awesome.
The first run through the course was like just getting a feel for everything and what you're initially supposed to do. And then what's nice is they run through it a couple, like at least 5 times. That way you can, by the 5th time, you get a better feel for like what you're supposed to be doing, and things get a little more natural by the 5th.
We did some exercises without the bike being on or without moving, where we felt like the clutch and felt shifting into first and back to neutral, which I think was really good for a lot of people who have never driven a manual transmission before. And even for someone like myself, I've driven a stick all my life, but a motorcycle stick is totally different than a car. It feels different, the shift pattern's different. So after that, then we started to do slow drills of just using what's called the friction zone and easing out on the clutch and just letting the motorcycle start to go while you're sitting on it, and you kind of pedal your feet as you go to get used to like feeling the balance of it.
In my opinion, one of the biggest reasons we need Ride Safe Indiana is over the course of the program since 1987, we've seen motorcyclist deaths per 10,000 drop from 12 per 10,000 registrations to just under 5 per 10,000 registrations. Since 1987, there's been no other big change. There's been no helmet law introduced and passed. It's the folks who go out here every weekend and teach motorcycle safety and teach these folks how to be safe. We're saving, in my opinion, 7 lives per 10,000 registrations every year, and that number continues to go down, and I want to just do my part to help it continue to go down. When we started Ride Safe Indiana, it was because we wanted to make sure that there were training opportunities for everybody. We used to have some limited training opportunities. If you didn't sign up for a class in February, you may not get in a class this summer. Since the start of RSI in 2016, that's no longer true. If you want to get in a training class, we can find you someplace that has a seat available within the next week or 2. It may not be in your backyard, it may not be 5 miles from your house, but somewhere in the state of Indiana, we can find you a seat to sit in and take a motorcycle safety course and learn how to be safer.
Did we all pass? Drum roll. Survey says
We're good!
we did. Woo woo. Not necessarily with flying colors, but we did pass. I don't know about you, but I had some nervous moments. And I may have dabbed a foot down, which you're technically not supposed to in the final test, but yeah, only a couple times. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely allowed at least 1 foot dab. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah. And then I think after like the third or fourth, they're like, eh.
And honestly, they said before that, some people just don't do well when, you've got 12 eyes on you.
Yeah.
If anybody did have any issues, and, throughout the class, they know you did it better when it was like doing the exercises.
Yeah.
They would bring you back and like let you retake the part that maybe nerves got the better of you, which was really nice.
Yeah, and I think they were conscious enough of how we were doing throughout the entire weekend to kind of get a feel for, okay, yeah, they're probably just nervous. They've been doing great throughout most of this, and I think they do give a little leeway. But yeah, we both passed. It was definitely a sense of relief.
Yeah, it was a long two-day training, and then by the end you're just like, oh gosh, okay, cool.
I know. Yeah, do we think taking the course was better for learning how to be a better driver overall? Absolutely. I absolutely feel like I am more self-aware of my driving habits, some good, some not so good, highly recommend this course to even anybody who's, ridden a motorcycle before, and maybe you're already familiar with, how a motorcycle works and all that, but like there are some very great tips and skills that you probably wouldn't normally teach yourself or learn on your own, like how to do a really tight U-turn versus having to like back your bike up and
walk it around,
which you can show off to all your friends, like, yeah, I know how to U-turn my bike without having to get off and walk it around, which is pretty dope. And just like some general safety things that you might think about as you are more familiar with your bike and riding with it, but initially I think it's nice to kind of understand why you have to do certain things.
For me, I had mentioned earlier how I didn't feel comfortable or was nervous about learning basically the throttle and the stick shift and the clutch and all that. So now that I've got the experience in the class, way better, especially under the supervision of somebody who knows what they're doing, was great. They're definitely more than happy to have people come in and join the class, and I would definitely recommend for sure this class just to get more familiar with the bikes themselves, get more confidence, be more aware of what's going on around you, even just as a normal driver. There's definitely been times going down the highway, I see a motorbike and I'm just like, okay, I know that they're doing this, this, and this, and so like, okay, I know what you got to go through now, so kind of keep that aware.
Yeah, I concur. Like watching other motorcyclists now on the road, I'm much more cognizant of, okay, I understand what they're going through to ride that bike, and giving them extra space, extra time to stop is always good. So yeah. Yeah, thank you so much to the folks at RSI. You guys are fantastic. We really appreciate you.
For sure. Take the course.